Imagine a world where bullies are held accountable, where victims reclaim their dignity, and where justice isn't just a word, but a reality. Welcome to the Revive Our America's Republic Theater, where the drama of truth, consequences, and lawful justice unfolds. In this theater, the bullies receive their notice of liability, a personal account of their acts or omissions. Here, an audit of public offices and servants is conducted, examining those who fail to provide due process. Professionals from diverse fields, who have turned common people into victims for corporate profit, are scrutinized. Victims who have been denied due process can learn how to hold public bodies accountable, removing elements that no longer serve the people, peacefully and effectively through constitutional law. Yet, this isn't just a theater, it's a reflection of real-life dramas, a mirror of true crime. It captures the essence of a world where denial of due process affects lives, causing irreversible damages. It's a journey into a corporate jungle where fraud and treason are rampant, where racketeering is a common practice. In this theater, we have identified over 250 actors in public offices involved in serious crimes of trafficking people for profit over the last 10 years. This theater is a testament to those who have been healed, humbled, and are native to earth, bound by the laws of nature's first principles. It's a pledge to love all and harm none. By enforcing lawful, peaceful, and effective accountability, it heals the harms, provides remedies to make one whole again through repentance, repair, and atonement. This theater uncovers truths and frauds, a real-life RICO unfolding in real time. It calls out those accused, like Mr. Bear Breslow, a dishonored judge, urging him to account for his anti-justice fraud. In this theater, the accused are urged to defend themselves from the evidence presented in the People's Forum Court of Public Opinion. Live on Facebook every day at noon in each of the 4 time zones. Our first case example is that of Roger Rabbit and Sheriff Stu, who have agreed to be the inaugural case of America's Republic People's Great Grand Jury. By freeing them, the theater symbolizes the freeing of all other victims, reinforcing the belief that the truth sets us free. In summary, the Revive Our America's Republic Theater is more than just a stage. It's a platform for justice, for holding those accountable who choose to deny due process, practice harmful deeds, and omit the truth. It's a platform to revive our republic, to ensure that justice isn't just a word, but a reality for all.
The ongoing and continuing saga of Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Sheriff Stu, from 1993 through 2023. The acts and deeds of omissions and fraud therein. This is their pettit trial. You be the judge. This is a detailed analysis of the exculpatory evidence withheld in court from discovery in this case, including but not limited to the local county court denying due process, where the politicians and the state court of appeals, the Nevada Supreme Court, the federal district court, and SCOTUS are covering for the corrupt lower courts actors. Who is Roger Hillygus? Upon graduating from UNR, the University of Reno, in 1992, with a bachelor's in science and business administration, the president selected Mr. Hillygus to review the curriculum of the College of Business. The directors of the Washoe County School District Transportation Department, where Mr. Hillygus was employed for 12 years, selected him to participate in a 6-month internship program to research administrative inefficiency, affect change, and make recommendations. The superintendent of Washoe County School District placed him on a year-round school task force to make recommendations. Roger, as building representative for the National Council of Structural Engineers Association, Employees Association, negotiated contracts, resolved grievances and disputes with management, represented members in meetings, and aided in the formulation of policies and procedures. He was a Rotary International Rotex Scholar and Ambassador of Goodwill, representing the USA, Sparks Rotary, and his community while at the University of the Philippines in Cebu City. In 1992, he consulted the CEO and founder of MPCI Carrageenan Seaweed Manufacturing in Southeast Asia for entrance into international markets. In Valencia, Spain, he attended the university and taught English. Mr. Hillygus' leadership qualities, community service, sense of adventure, integrity, and commitment to others as a team player, EMT, and firefighter encompass his personality. Roger supports the Alzheimer's Association, the Reno Rodeo Association, the Nevada White Hats.
My name is Roger Hillygus. I'm currently living in Dayton, Nevada, which is outside of Carson City. And my case is occurring in the 2nd Judicial District Court in Reno, Nevada. I've got an estranged sibling who thought it was important to take my parents, who were diminished in their capacity, to Idaho to purchase properties with the inheritance, which was placed into the family trust. So his trust assets were being used to purchase properties in another state. So what I didn't realize, and they shortly, about this same time, they gave me the trust and the powers of attorney that they had put in place back in the early 90s.
My name is Roger Hillygus. My mother is Susan Hillygus. She is being kept locked in a facility in Reno, Nevada. I was her power of attorney and I was her trustee. Corrupt equity courts, the family courts, have taken jurisdiction over my mother, and I'm being restricted from caring for her, which I had done for 3 years. So I believe that her civil rights are being violated, and these corrupt courts need to be stopped.
Who is Stuart Hanty? The Mineral County Board of County Commissioners voted unanimously on November 20th to offer Stuart Hanty, a probation officer who lived in Reno, Hanty to take over as sheriff. From Mineral County Independent News. Hanty to take over as sheriff. Posted by C.W. Wilkinson, December 5th, 2013. From Mineral County Independent News. The Mineral County Board of County Commissioners voted unanimously on November 20th to offer Stu Hanty, a probation officer who lived in Reno before he was offered the job, the position of Mineral County Sheriff. He will take the oath of office in a few weeks after he passes a background check. As a leader of law enforcement agency, you want to make sure your community is safe. That's paramount, Hanty said during his interview. If you don't have a safe community, what's the attraction to people that potentially want to come here, not just to live, but to open up a business? Hanty holds a bachelor's degree from the University of Nevada, Reno in criminal justice and served on the Nevada Highway Patrol for 19 years.
In the cause of Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Sheriff Stewart, we are here to serve Jesus justice, freeze the fraud, flipping the script, and flattening the curve. Intending no harm, but to cure and correct, heal the harms, cancelling corruption culture with constitutional good behaviour of due process. Together, in 1993, Father Gene and Mother Susan Hillygus provided the Hillygus Family Trust. Son Roger was appointed trustee to the trust. The death clause made it clear that anyone who tampers with the words of the trust shall be known as dead before the settlers, not entitled to any benefits of the trust.
13. Incontestability. If any beneficiary under this trust agreement shall, singularly or in conjunction with any other person or persons, contest in any court the validity of this trust agreement or of the will of either trustor, or shall seek to obtain an adjudication in any proceeding in any court that this trust agreement or any of its provisions, or that such will or any of its provisions is void, or seek otherwise to void, nullify, or set aside this trust agreement or any of its provisions, then the right of that person to take any interest given to him by this trust agreement shall be determined as it would have been determined had that person died prior to the date of execution of this trust agreement.
Attorney Moss wrote and filed the trust, was paid in full and fired by Gene, as you can see in Gene's letter to Moss. Because when it came time, in probate court, to honour what he wrote, Moss turncoat as a scofflaw went full pirate against Gene and Susan with his culpable cohorts, helped lock up both Gene and Susan to be isolated and drugged until they died. Gene's bar-ass attorney, Susan's bar-ass attorney, Roger's many bar-ass attorneys, and the bar-ass attorneys for the Hillygus Family Trust, the Sheriff and Washoe Police Department, officers and jailers.
I'd go see the management of the facility, show them your documents, explain to them rationally, here's my plan, here's what I'm doing, this is why I'm doing it, this is all the documentation that I have. Can you help me fulfill the orders of this so I can get my money?
The asked District Attorney Allison Jenkins, who lied, admitted and recanted her lies, and withheld exculpable evidence as she called for the FBI Silver Alert to apprehend a dangerous kidnapper.
I'm sorry. when you said that Stuart Henty was wrong, that Gus was on that signing sheet, you were wrong, weren't you?
Yes, I was wrong.
With orders to shoot to kill across the California state border with no records available, no exculpatory evidence, no police records, no sheriff records, no FBI from Nevada or California records released or available. No records to show that which the Google search and national media clearly identifies as the violent 4-hour standoff and serious takedown of the dangerous Roger, kidnapper of his mother. The drama ended when kidnapper Roger was found sleeping on the couch of his uncle.
At what point did you realize that he was actually, police were looking for him?
When they rammed on my door.
Dester says Hillygus' mother is her boyfriend's only sister, and he showed up about a week ago asking to stay with them.
He takes good care of his mother, though. He feeds her, he diapers her, bathes her. No, absolutely no mistreating that we could see while they were here.
Dester says she and her boyfriend were in the front room when officers rushed in and were escorted out. Hillygus was in the back with his mother, and she doesn't know exactly what happened next.
The judges, Simple Sullivan, Dishonored Doherty, Wicked Walker, and the Appeals Court, all for Probate Court, all actively participated in the Washoe legal services. The Washoe County Commissioners, the Nevada Senators and Representatives, even the Federal District Court and the United States Supreme Court refused jury and denied the records or to cure and correct this injustice. Approximately 250 public servants failed, refused or denied due process. Each are culpable for the violations and damages. All refused to allow, denied the jury to hear the evidence and to determine the truth. They each allowed Roger to be claimed as a vexatious litigant, preventing Roger from defending himself. Charge Roger of violating retroactively the Simulated Document Assembly Bill. Charge Roger to be a vexatious litigant, sovereign citizen, and a dangerous constitutional mindset they agree that they have seen before, and find them to be a danger to society. Now in criminal court, challenging jurisdiction, being denied filing for his defense, refused the records of exculpatory evidence. Now in criminal court, challenging jurisdiction, being denied filing for his defense, refused the records of exculpatory evidence. Now Mr. Bully Breslow, without constitutional authority, no oath, no bond, claims jurisdiction for D.A. Bar Ass Attorney Mr. Anus Stinky. Mr. Biggie Breslow has created a new thing called the Anonymous Jury. January 2024. Mr. Biggie Bully Breslow and Mr. Anus Stinky plan to put Roger and Stuart in prison for 68 years, including a charge of burglary, to enhance their talking points to the Anonymous Jury. The state of Nevada passed a new bill and retroactively charged Roger with the added crime of filing simulated documents. The Simulated Document Assembly Bill Roger is charged with, due to the sovereign citizen doctrine, will not release them unless he will denounce the We the People's Petite Jury verdict, accepted and filed in Washoe Court on the record. The We the People jury verdict, finding Roger innocent of kidnapping as he rescued his mother from isolation, abuse, neglect and drugging, which was to her ultimate demise 2 months later. She was killed like her husband was. In 2011, Sister Robin Renwick, Bar Ass Attorney Todd Torvinen, Bar Ass Attorney Stephen Moss, Bar Ass Attorney Spritzer, Bar Ass Attorney Ryan Earl and Bar Ass Washoe Legal Services with Judge Ryan Sullivan, Judge Francis Doherty, Judge Egan Walker, many deviate Bar Ass attorneys, for 10 years took as much as they could without curing or correcting the trust issues. Actually gang-stalking Roger into the legal rat race jungle zoo of Oz, to protect himself and his mother with every minute of his time, every breath, every thought, every feeling, every action, and every available resource for many years without resolve. And now, present day, December 2023, for 4 solid years, Roger and his next friend, witness Stuart Henty, are being persecuted relentlessly for protecting and rescuing Roger's mother. Oathless and bondless fraud. Judge Mr. Biggie Bully Breslow and his district attorney Mr. Anus Stinky continue to try to amend, restate and steal a revocable trust. The trust was none of those things. It is the Hillygus Family Trust. These untrustworthy administrators have attempted to replace Roger as trustee with Randall from another mother, who was intentionally excluded from the trust. Randall's son-in-law, Adam Clark, by fraud was named trustee, and Roger is being persecuted while doing his best to communicate in a rigged system of wolves, with the trust having the death clause of incontestability. Messed with the trust, and now you are known to be dead. In 2013, Robin was so violent at Christmas, a restraining order against her was necessary. Robin took Jean to all of his doctor appointments. He had been declining with Alzheimer's for a few years. Robin made sure he took 8 types of drugs daily and then locked him in a facility. She attended all of Jean's interviews with the doctors, convincing the doctors and declining Jean both that Roger had malicious intent against Jean and should not be trustee. Jean was not sure who actually was named trustee, as the doctor's report states. Jean did not have the capacity to make choices for himself, is why he had the trust created. Robin manipulated the estranged son, Randall's son-in-law, Adam Clark, to be appointed trustee. Robin, with her wolf boy bar-ass divorce attorney Todd Torvenin, went to his old buddy, his 20-year partner in Washoe Legal Services, Miss Frances Doherty, who was soon removed from office for stealing too many trusts. Roger's trust was her last one. In fact, Doherty's name was scrubbed from the court docket and her name was replaced with the name Honourable Unsworthy, who was never known to be a part of this case. Doherty removed the restraining order against Robin, then evicted Roger from Susie's home with a SWAT team. That was overkill. Roger had a home of his own. He only stayed at Susan's home for her comfort and care. With Jean in the facility and Roger removed from Susan's home, Susan was left alone in her home. Susan had a breakdown. Roger found her unconscious on the floor and rushed her to the hospital. Robin picked up Susan when it was time to go home from the hospital. Robin was then burdened to care for Susan. Robin did not want Roger to have access to Susan, so she locked Susan in a facility, isolated, neglected, abused and drugged. 2016, 2017, 2018. Thousands of documents have been filed in the probate case and more now that criminal charges are filed. 2019 is when Roger finally realized there is no due process from the Nevada administrators. Roger then looked to We the People to vote for justice. We the People's petite jury unanimously found Roger to be trustee and POA over his mother's trust and responsible for her care. The jury verdict accepted by and was entered on the record of Washoe Probate Court. D.A. Stinky does not want the people to have a vote or a jury or a constitution. Roger, Stewart and Tracy took the lawful documents to the Washoe police, asking for a civil escort to rescue his mother. The officer stated, "That is civil, we will not get involved. Go give those papers to the facility and get your mother." 2019, August 8th. Roger and Susan left the institution without incident, smiling and saying goodbye to the staff. All seemed to be well with them, until Lisa. Marie Campbell told Tom, the facility manager and high school mate of Robin, to call the police and call Robin. She said, "There is a restraining order preventing Roger from taking Susan." Tom realized that Susan's $10,000 per month was walking out of the facility. Then Tom told the officer that Roger and Stewart were dragging Susan across the parking lot. They were both lying. No restraining order, only a picture put there by Robin, not a court order, only a picture of Roger and his wife. Then Tom told the officer that Roger and Stewart were dragging Susan across the parking lot. They were both lying. No restraining order, only a picture put there by Robin, not a court order, only a picture of Roger and his wife taped on the wall. The police report was written as a kidnapping of a senior protected person with dementia. And the report of dangerous kidnapping was given to the Assistant District Attorney, Allison Jenkins. Jenkins, advancing her career, failed to investigate before she called the FBI Silver Alert. Jenkins has been demoted to an officer, a street cop. No investigating, and she lied, admitted she was wrong, and redacted her lie on the witness stand. There was no restraining order, nothing preventing Susan from leaving with her son Roger. In fact, Jenkins recorded the interrogation of Roger on the 6-hour ride back to Nevada from California after his arrest. She knew everything, but was stuck in her lies till the redaction, because she was caught red-handed with a forked tongue lying for deception to protect her position, didn't work. And yet Roger was still being pursued after they killed Susan and took all of her money and property, dividing it among themselves, stating in open court it was for Susan's well-being and best interest. Roger and Stewart were aggressively and violently arrested. In and out of jail, mentally evaluated, Mother Susan murdered by design, and as of today, no bond, hold on Roger. He has been in jail for more than 14 months, under inhumane treatment and deplorable conditions. Locked down 23 hours per day, now 2 weeks in solitary confinement, cold, without sufficient clothes, blankets, food, heat, sunshine, exercise, nor clean water, no pencils, no paper, without law library study for his defence. No more filing of documents in defence, no exculpatory evidence allowed on the docket. And the wolves are out for blood since they have taken all the money. 2020, Roger having everything taken from him except the breath from his own life. His mother, his wife, his home, his dogs, cars, collections, chattel, equipment, guns, his impeccable reputation in his community, being a 30-year firefighter. Roger had lost all hope for his future recovery. Roger relocated to be domiciled in the Republic of Texas for his personal safety. Finding a support network, he began working in exchange for living space. Scene script, 2021. His work took him to St. Louis, Missouri. In Missouri, at a grocery store, Roger was surrounded by 6 cars of U.S. Marshals with guns pointing in his face, ready for one wrong move, with instructions to shoot, to kill. Roger was held in Missouri jail for 3 months, waiting to be extradited back to Nevada. No record of Roger's case in Missouri can be found. 2022. Roger was extradited and has been locked down 23 hours per day. He has been in a wheelchair for injuries sustained in the jail and refused medical treatment since then. Inhumane evil treatment as punishment by the guards. Roger was held in Missouri jail for 3 months, waiting to be extradited back to Nevada. No record of Roger's case in Missouri can be found. 2022. Roger was extradited and has been locked down 23 hours per day. He has been in a wheelchair for injuries sustained in the jail and refused medical treatment since then. 2023, Roger's support network of advocates is in excess of 780 other victims who have also been denied due process in probate court, having loved ones killed in the same way Susan was, with their inheritances being shared by the BARS attorneys, guardians, medical and facility professionals, officers and judges. 2023, June 23rd, the People's Grand Jury received Roger and Stewart's tort claim. The Grand Jury true bill presentment was unanimous. The People's Grand Jury found, beyond all doubt, probable cause that crimes have been committed by Mr. Bully Breslow and Mr. Anus Stinky, denying due process. 2023, June 27th. The true bill presentment was recorded being served on Mr. Bully Breslow and Mr. Anus Stanky, hand-delivered to their respective offices. The required response was denied. None of the investigative questions were answered by Breslow. 2023, July 11th, the Grand Jury. True bill presentment was recorded being hand-delivered to each of the county commissioners and read into the record of the meeting. On this day, it was discovered that Mr. Breslow and at least one of the commissioners do not have the required constitutional oath nor performance bond on record to hold public office, and their fellow legals chose not to be concerned about it. Each of them are violating lawful constitutional good behavior. Both of our brothers are now corruption whistleblowers, and both men have given the fullness of their history, retiring from 30 years of spotless careers in public service. Roger a firefighter and Stewart as law enforcement officer and sheriff. Working with the individuals in those fields or work, they have shared stories involving each of them who had a duty to perform but failed. From their story details, we can see that there is suspicion shown that this bad behavior of the administrators of justice actually have vendettas and have been vindictive, relentlessly gang-stalking the two men for their own personal self-serving benefit. The stories we have documented we refer to as the dead man's switch. As many others have died at the hands of these evildoers, it is now known by enough advocates that in the cause of Susan, Roger and Stewart, scene script 2023, This caveat: should any further harm come to these men by this systematic corruption, frame fraud of Roger Rabbit and Sheriff Stewart, this effort shall be advanced nationally through victors who have healed from being victims, the victims uniting to audit the books of account. All fraud will be exposed and punished. With the diamonds returned forthwith, evildoers will be removed from enjoying their position post-haste.
Reno Police Department, August 8th, 2019.
And obviously you're there to get your mother.
I'm trying to come to you guys to explain to you that,
But
I've got all the authority to do this.
Like I said, we're not involved. We don't get involved in civil judgments, period. Either side. I don't even care what the judge ruled. The judge ruled that you have full power to walk in there and take the whole facility. That has nothing to do with us. That's a civil judgment. The government has no interest in that, so why would we get involved? So, what I'm saying to you is if you get up there, I would bring all your documents. I wouldn't just walk in there and grab her. I'd go see the management of the facility, show them your documents, explain to them rationally, here's my plan, here's what I'm doing, this is why I'm doing it, this is all the documentation that I have. Can you help me fulfill the orders of this so I can get my mom?
Reno PD body cam shows Roger requested a civil standby that was denied. For being a civil matter, Roger did what he was told to do by the officer. Roger and the witnesses signed in to see Susie. He left the document of his authority at the front desk. He experienced a peaceful exit as no one opposed Susie leaving. In this secure facility, Tom the manager states Susie can go with her son. Note the date says August 8th, 2019. Note that written here it says Stu and Gus. Gus is a nickname Roger has been known by for years, Hillygus. Note Susie's name written in the box to the left of where it says Stu and Gus. Note the time written in the time in box. It says 2:00 p.m. 911 dispatch call by Tom Taylor at Stone Valley, shortly after Roger rescued his mother. August 8th, 2019.
Okay, so is his mother does she have dementia or Alzheimer's?
Yes, she does. But the son there's an order that he has to stay away from her. We tried to reach the daughter, who is her primary guardian, and we couldn't get through to her.
Okay, so there's a court order that he's not supposed to have her?
Yes, according to her daughter, Robin Renwick. Hey, I'm on the phone with the police. Can I call you right back?
Okay.
Now,
do you know why he's not supposed to have contact with her?
I have no idea. I could give you the daughter's phone number, who knows the whole circumstance.
So who has power of attorney?
So there's a co-guardian. It's Robin Renwick.
Is that this daughter?
Yes.
Who is the other co-guardian?
It's Casey. I can't read the name.
Do you know who that is to her?
No, I've never seen her before either, I don't think.
Okay, co-guardian. Okay, and I'm sorry, what's the daughter's name again? Sorry.
Robin, R-O-B-I-N. Renwick, R-E-N-W-I-C-K.
And you haven't been able to get a hold of her?
No, I have.
Okay. And what did she say?
She said call you.
Okay.
But she said that this is considered a kidnapping. He is not supposed to come into this building. And we didn't know. There's a flyer, but it was covered up by a bunch of papers. And we're all relatively new here. So, a lot of us didn't know that was in place. At 5.
Is she responding to your location? Or
Robin?
Yeah.
What do you mean responding?
Is she coming to Stone Valley?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because there's really nothing she can do here. I mean, they took her from the...
Do we know where the son might be taking her, or have his...
Well, I guess he lives in Dayton.
Okay.
She said he might be driving a white Honda, an older white Honda.
Today is November 16th, 2023. It's approximately 4:17 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Do you consent to this interview being recorded?
I do.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, in light of the fact that you upheld the laws in the state of Nevada, the Nevada Constitution, and the United States Constitution for 30 years as a former law enforcement officer?
I do. I will.
Therefore, everything you provide to this testimonial today is going to be the truth, so help you God, and a fair and accurate rendition of the actual deaths that took place surrounding the rescue of Susan Hillygus per subsequent emergency in Los Angeles, California, in the Bellflower area, and the eventual fact that it led up to her death. Do you know factual information about that?
I do.
Mr. Hanty, let's start at the beginning. How long did you know Roger Hillygus before you had your chance encounter?
Did not.
Therefore, it was a chance encounter at the attorney's office in Reno?
Correct.
Do you know the name of the attorney?
I do.
Is his name Chuck Kozak?
It is.
During that first encounter, did you have a conversation with Mr. Hillygus?
I did.
Did he mention that right out of the gate, that he had an issue with his mom?
No.
Is it true that he mentioned out of the gate about a traffic citation he received in Story County?
He did.
And since we can go back on the record with your law enforcement career, isn't it true that you served 2 stints as Deputy Sheriff of the Story County Sheriff's Department, that beginning in July of 2005 and in July 2006, and resuming in January 2007 and leaving in August of 2008? Is that correct?
Correct.
Therefore, did you know the politics and the parameters involving traffic citations in Story County?
I did.
Is it safe to say, Mr. Hanty, that based on the time you served up there as well as living in this area, isn't it true that Story County had a reputation for being quote-unquote corrupt?
Absolutely.
Would that be based on just the sheriff's office alone or other tangible factors?
Other tangible factors, but the sheriff's office, mostly.
Is it true that there was a movie made about the Mustang Ranch, which used to be in Story County and then shut down and then moved back to Story County in a different area?
Correct.
And didn't that movie involve a mobster by the name of Joey Conforti?
It did.
Did you know Mr. Conforti?
I did.
Did you have social interactions with him?
I did not.
How did you meet Mr. Conforti?
Assisting traffic accident.
Did Mr. Conforti converse with you?
He did.
Based on all the information you know about Mr. Conforti, up to and including that incident that night, you met him assisting that traffic accident, did you figure Mr. Conforti to be a man of a mobster mentality?
Correct.
Therefore, we do have the fact that, Mr. Hanty, you do know a little bit about the foundational composition of Story County to a certain degree based on your previous law enforcement experience up there and the fact that you've lived in the northern Nevada area for 49 years.
Correct.
Bringing back to mind the chance afternoon encounter with Mr. Hillygus at the office of Chuck Kozak, attorney at law in Reno, Nevada, after you had a discussion with Mr. Hillygus, did he bring up a topic involving his mother?
He did.
Was that topic stated to you that he had something of a serious nature to discuss with you?
Correct.
During that initial conversation, did you meet with him?
No.
Did you set up a meeting later down the road to meet with him?
Correct.
Was that meeting at your residence located at 10305 Coyote Creek Drive in South Reno, Nevada?
It was.
How did that meeting take place? Was it by chance, or was there a correspondence between text messages and or cell phone calls?
Text messages, cell phone calls.
Did you in fact invite Mr. Hillygus over to your house to discuss the situation that revolved around his mother?
I did.
Upon his arrival at your residence, do you know approximately when that was?
Late spring 2019.
Bearing in mind this conversation took place, did Mr. Hillygus bring up any concern involving the care and treatment of his mother?
He did.
Did those concerns bring to light anything of significance involving any one of your family members?
It did.
Did it in fact bring to mind some significant issues involving the subsequent passing of your mother, Barbara Hanty?
It did.
Was your mother physically abused and neglected at an assisted care facility?
Abused, no. Neglected, yes.
Therefore, during the conversation you had with Mr. Hillygus at your residence of 10305 Coyote Creek Drive, did Mr. Hillygus bring some statements of concern to you?
He did.
Did Mr. Hillygus back up those statements with any evidence?
He did.
Was that evidence photographic in nature?
It was.
Do you remember the evidence contained therein involved Miss Hillygus showing a black eye?
It did.
Was that evidence also showing Mrs. Hillygus in disheveled clothing and her hair unkempt?
It did.
Based on what you used to see with your own mother and the subsequent relapsing of memories based on their own treatment of your own mother at an assisted care facility, did you believe at the very minimum Mrs. Hillygus might be being neglected and abused?
I did.
And did you base that decision on 30 years of being a law enforcement officer in the state of Nevada, where you're obligated to investigate allegations of abuse and neglect, whether it's the care facility or not, whether it's by a parent or relative or friend? It's in the duty of local law enforcement agencies' jurisdiction to at least investigate those allegations or look into them.
It is.
Bearing that statement in mind, you just stated, did you have concerns about what Mr. Hillygus showed you?
Very much so.
What at this point in time did Mr. Hillygus state to you regarding the conditions of his mother? To be fair, do you think she's being fairly treated? Do you think she was being abused and neglected? Anything of significance?
Abused and neglected, not fairly treated.
Bearing that in mind, did you offer any advice to Mr. Hillygus in the form of your official capacity as a law enforcement officer?
I did not.
That's based on the fact that you were no longer a law enforcement officer at that time. Is that correct, Mr. Hanty?
It was.
And you know for a fact, because if you had been a law enforcement officer at that point in time, you would have had to say and state a conflict of interest because of your official capacity in that law enforcement position, correct?
Correct.
Did you instruct Mr. Hillygus to try and seek release measures for the abuse and neglect and the treatment of his mother at the Stone Valley Care Facility?
I gave him advice.
And was that advice to contact the agency of jurisdiction to report the allegations of abuse?
Yes.
Isn't it true that he tried to report these allegations of abuse and neglect prior to your conversation with him?
I believe so.
As an official law enforcement officer, once again, your duty is to be a first reporter, correct?
Correct.
And even though you're not in law enforcement in your official capacity at this point in time, isn't it true that you felt it was necessary, based on the 30 years you did as a law enforcement officer in the state of Nevada, upholding the Constitution of the state and the United States, did you have a moral and ethical obligation to report what you saw to an official of the jurisdiction agency police department that would handle such cases of neglect and abuse?
Yes.
Isn't it true that that law enforcement agency would have been the Reno Police Department?
Correct.
After your conversation with Mr. Hillygus, isn't it true that he asked you for your help?
He did.
And true, you could not help him, correct?
I could not.
But isn't it true that you also said you would help by assisting him in placing a phone call to the command staff of the Reno Police Department, at which time you were still considered friends of Chief Jason Soto and Commander Oliver Miller and some of the lieutenants there, correct?
Correct.
That's because of your 30 years in law enforcement capacity, you developed a professional relationship with Chief Soto and Commander Miller, and possibly a personal relationship?
Possibly. More or less professional.
Did you assist Mr. Hillygus in reaching out to the Reno Police Department?
I did.
Isn't it true that you, by the mere fact you said assist, you reached out to Chief Soto on his personal cell phone when you still had his number in your cell phone's personal phone book? Isn't that true?
True.
Did you reach out to him because you felt it was necessary for at least the Reno Police Department to be involved in the initial complaint process and to view the evidence being presented to you so that they could take a look as the jurisdictional agency of record to offer some sort of investigation and or complaint into the Stone Valley Assisted Care Facility for the obvious abuse and neglect of Miss Susan Hillygus?
Yes.
Did you make that phone call to Chief Soto?
I did.
Did you reach Chief Soto?
I did not.
Is it true you didn't reach Chief Soto because Chief Soto was out of town?
He was.
Did you receive a return phone call from Chief Soto?
I did not.
Did you receive a phone call from another member of the Reno Police Department command staff?
I did.
Isn't it true that the return phone call was from Commander Oliver Miller?
It was.
Isn't it true that Commander Oliver Miller was befuddled by what you were trying to get across to him?
Seems so.
Did you make yourself pretty clear that you were just reaching out to Reno Police Department because of your training and experience as a law enforcement officer for 30 years? That you had concerns about a fellow human being and sworn to uphold and protect by the Reno Police Department? Mind you, not you, but by the Reno Police Department? However, interpreting your own moral and ethical obligation to this cause, did you feel it was necessary to alert them to what you saw?
It was.
Did you tell Commander Miller that you had concerns about the condition and treatment of Susan Hillygus at the Stone Valley Assisted Care Facility?
I did.
Did Commander Miller state to you anything other than he would sit down and meet with Mr. Hillygus to discuss his own concerns?
He did.
Do you know for a fact that Commander Miller did not meet with Mr. Roger Hillygus?
He did not.
Take me back to August 8th of 2019. Isn't it true that Roger Hillygus made a phone call to Commander Miller to request a sit-down meeting to bring forth the allegations of abuse and neglect at the Stone Valley Assisted Care Facility against his mother, Susan Hillygus, and that he was wishing to remove her from that facility for safety and health concerns? Isn't that true?
It's true.
Did Commander Miller meet with Roger Hillygus to the best of your knowledge?
Did not.
Do you know why?
I do not.
Do you know who did meet with Mr. Hillygus?
I do.
Is it true that it was Sergeant Rob Hannafan from the Reno Police Department?
Correct.
Isn't it true there was a third person involved in this process, a man by the name of Tracy Griffith?
There was.
Was he there at the Stone Valley Assisted Care Facility on August 8th, 2019?
He was.
Did the three of you meet outside the facility?
We did.
You've been accused of parking across the street in some sort of subversive and conspiratorial manner. Is it true you parked across the street because you parked in the shade because it was a hot day in the upper 90s that day in Reno, and you were seeking shade instead of standing out in the hot sun?
Correct.
Was there any conspiratorial motives behind you and Tracy Griffith and Roger Hillygus going to the Stone Valley Assisted Care Facility?
There was not.
And that's because you had no jurisdictional authority as a law enforcement officer, therefore you were just there to observe and report, as anybody would do, based on the fact that Roger Hillygus had already told you that his sister, Robin Renwick, had been negatively giving comments to the facility and had taken on a personal vendetta against her own brother. Is that true?
It's true.
Based on that fact, do you believe that you were responding to meet with Mr. Griffith and Mr. Hillygus there to facilitate the kidnapping of Susan Hillygus?
No.
Isn't it true, Mr. Hanty, that you were there just to merely observe and report, and that it was not your legal responsibility to assist anything other than to observe and report the goings-on at the care facility?
Correct.
And that's exactly what you did, isn't it, Mr. Hanty?
It was.
Bearing in mind what you just said, was there allegations that you falsified the visitor sign-in log on August 8th, 2019 to facilitate the kidnapping of Susan Hillygus?
Allegations, yes.
And isn't it true that you signed in truthfully and properly on the sign-in log sheet on August 8th of 2019?
Yes.
And isn't it true that the names you put down on the sign-in sheet were as follows: Stu and Gus to see Susie?
Yes.
Did you know that Gus was a nickname for Roger Hillygus?
Not at that time.
Yet Mr. Hillygus asked you to put that name down, right?
Correct.
Did you feel there were some subversive motives behind that request?
No.
Why is that?
I didn't feel the need there was any subversive motives.
Isn't it true that once the sign-in sheet was completed, you were allowed access back into the secondary area of the facility through a locked door to seek the location of one Susan Hillygus?
It was.
Isn't it true that you instructed Roger to take the paperwork that you knew were shown to be documents with an official Washoe County embossed seal on them, that you did not know to be legal or illegal, present them to the staff of Stone Valley to see if there was any way to extract his mother from the facility so that she could get proper medical treatment?
True.
Did in fact Roger Hillygus present those documents to the staff at Stone Valley Assisted Care Facility?
He did.
Is it a fact that the gentleman he presented the documents to was a small Hispanic gentleman?
Correct.
Did he take Mr. Hillygus down the hall, or did he tell him to leave?
Down the hall.
When Mr. Hillygus returns, isn't it true that on his arm was the loving mother, Susan Hillygus?
It was.
Did you notice them to be in some sort of conversation as they approached you?
They did.
Were they talking freely and conversing freely without any difficulties or objections?
Yes.
Was Miss Hillygus smiling or frowning?
Smiling.
Did she seem happy or sad?
Happy. Elated.
Did you think at any point in time that what you were doing assisting Roger Hillygus was in any way, shape, or form associated with the crime of kidnapping?
It was not.
Stone Valley Care, August 8th, 2019.
Walking her towards the door, but I knew it wasn't Allison. I was like, hey, that's not Alice. But they were already out the door.
Okay. So he came in, asked to see another resident.
Robin Renwick's handwritten TPO notice. Hey, I didn't realize handwritten flyers and printed Facebook photos were considered legal documents. It says, Roger and Debbie Hillygus, if you see these people, please supervise and inform management. He cannot take Sue out of the facility. Link from the printout of the photo showing it came from Facebook.
Did you sign her out? This was the only thing I could find. It says anything. It goes through and talks about what he said about care and.
Went southbound to Joe from Cardinal.
Okay, so I'm just looking, let's see, as of January 10th of 2018, not yet. First of all, we need to figure out what's going on, and then you will. No, I do not need to talk to him, because there's nothing he's going to say or do to change what I'm doing right here. I have not been over there, so I don't think he was. In fact, the sergeant I talked to said he did not have any paperwork with him when he came in. Okay, so, hey. First of all, I know how to do my job. I've been doing it for a while. I don't need you to tell me how to do it. We will look for your mom. First of all, we're trying to determine if there's even a crime that's committed or if it's a civil issue between you and your brother. So I will trying to read the court order that is in front of me in her file, but I keep getting interrupted by you. So if you could just wait and let me... So did Roger sign in at all?
He signed in for someone else.
So he didn't sign his name, he signed somebody else's name?
He asked for Allison Barrett.
Okay, but did he sign in here in any way or form?
No, he didn't put his name at all.
Or somebody else's name?
He's the last name on there, and it's blank.
Tom, yes, they're nominating you as the person to write the statement out.
Absolutely. I was elected?
You were elected. All told, pretty much. So, with Susan's meds, is there anything on this list that, if not taken as prescribed, is life-threatening?
She has Ativan, and Risperdal.
Can Risperdal cause death in the elderly? Risperdal has been shown to increase the risk of death in elderly patients with dementia. More elderly dementia patients have died from pneumonia, cardiac failure, and stroke, while Risperdal and the increased risk were not related to the dose amount or how long the medication had been taken. Though the exact cause is unknown, patients with dementia may be more at risk as they are unable to report severe symptoms. Because of the number of deaths, the FDA required that a black box warning be added to prescribing information for Risperdal. A black box warning is the most severe warning that can be issued by the FDA and requires that information is printed at the top of prescribing information surrounded by a thick black border. According to the Mayo Clinic, risperidone is used to treat schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, or irritability associated with autistic disorder. It specifically says this medicine should not be used to treat behavioral problems in older adults who have dementia. It's also known as risperidol.
And this one for the anxiety.
Well, nobody's ever died from anxiety that I know of, but
No,
as
I
far
don't
as
think
any...
so. No, yeah, that's also. It is. Yeah, this is the opposite vitamin D. I don't think so.
Yeah, that's what I didn't think so. I just wanted to double check with you.
No.
Okay.
This is just for anxiety.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
I need you to call down there. 925,000. Try to get back through to his medical assistant.
Let's see what location this phone number Tom mentions in the body cam footage yields from Google Maps. We can reasonably assume the area code for this number is 775, because we know the location of Stone Valley Memory Care is 6155 Stone Valley Drive, Reno, Nevada, 89523. We also know that the 775 area code covers many parts of northern Nevada. When we look up the phone number 775-982-5000 on Google, the result comes back for Renown Medical Group, Vista. Note the address here. Based on the locations page on renown.org, we can clearly see the 775-982-5000 phone number is associated with multiple Renown Medical Group locations, including Center for Advanced Medicine, C, at Regional Medical Center, located at 75 Pringle Way, Reno, Nevada, 89502, as well as Renown Medical Group, Vista, located at 910 Vista Boulevard, Sparks, Nevada, 89434. Also take note of the address here. Renown Neurology, 75 Pringle Way, Suite 401, Reno, Nevada, 89502. It should be noted that Renown Medical has been rife with corruption during the time frame that Susan was in Stone Valley Memory Care. Here is an excerpt of an article by This Is Reno confirming this. Multiple sources confirmed with This Is Reno there are numerous allegations facing Renown and the hospital's now former CEO, Tony Slonim. Slonim was fired for cause yesterday as part of an investigation. Allegations ranged from sexual harassment, unethical behavior by top executives, financial mismanagement, and an organizational culture rife with dysfunction and employee mistreatment. The investigation has not concluded, two sources said. Allegations against Slonim were provided to be factual from a multitude of sources. A current employee told This Is Reno. Financial losses from executive overhead and financial folly. Most of Renown's senior executives make more than $500,000 a year. Slonim, according to public filings, made $1.7 million in 2020. Renown is a nonprofit hospital, which under Affordable Care Act rules must serve the public interest and provide broad community benefit.
I need a prescription of lorazepam for that resident.
Lorazepam. Important warning. Lorazepam may increase the risk of serious or life-threatening breathing problems, sedation, or coma if used along with certain medications. Tell your doctor if you are taking or plan to take certain medications for cough or for pain that contain opiates. Example: codeine, hydrocodone, morphine, oxycodone, tramadol. Your doctor may need to change the dosages of your medications and will monitor you carefully. If you take lorazepam with any of these medications and you develop any of the following symptoms, call your doctor immediately or seek emergency medical care immediately. Unusual dizziness, lightheadedness, extreme sleepiness, slowed or difficult breathing, or unresponsiveness. Be sure that your caregiver or family members know which symptoms may be serious so they can call the doctor or emergency medical care if you are unable to seek treatment on your own.
That was at first I thought that he would do that because that's what he's done in the
To have
past.
them fax
To try to
us a script for her so that we can get her some medication so she calms down.
He is married?
He's He's aggressive. Do you know that the sheriffs had to remove him with the SWAT team from this house?
From your mom's house?
And the sheriffs wouldn't do it without a court order because he threatened that he had guns. And he does have guns. So they go out to Dayton. They need to be aware what they could possibly be walking into.
And we'll let them know.
This part. You know, what's going to happen to my mom after?
Well, she's not on her meds. She's not going to have her meds. She's not going to get changed. I mean, there's crazy stuff going on. This is a copy of what he said. This is her copy.
No, she can barely walk.
So he was dragging her. Not literally dragging her,
I'm
but
surprised he didn't pick her up.
pulling her.
Yeah, I'm shocked.
My
It's
mom,
assigned to a detective.
okay, but do you understand that my mom's life is in danger right now? In danger.
How?
How?
How? She's with your brother.
Have you heard all the stories that we've been going through? That
I understand he has. He may have some.
medications, so you
Okay.
believe that he's
There-
not a hazard?
None of your mother's. No, she doesn't. All of her. No, she doesn't. Because I just talked to the med tech because I got a list of her meds, and I confirmed with the med tech because all of her meds are primarily for anxiety, mental health. It's not for. There's nothing physical that if your mom does not take medications, she's going to die from. And I confirmed that with the med tech.
He doesn't know what he's dealing with. He hasn't been here in a year, and she's declined a lot in a year.
Right.
She used to be able to walk really well. She looked good. You didn't know anything was really wrong. But in the last year, she shuffles. She can't walk.
They've had her in a wheelchair lately.
MAR, Medical Administration Record for Susan Hillygus, dated August 8, 2019. According to Susan Hillygus' medical administration record, her diagnosis is listed as dementia. It should be noted that according to the MAR report, Susan Hillygus was originally prescribed risperidone 0.5 milligram tablets on December 20th, 2018 at 7 o'clock a.m. Furthermore, the MAR report indicates that Susan Hillygus was originally prescribed lorazepam 0.5 milligram tablets on April 23rd, 2019 at 3 p.m. Based on Robin Renwick's own statement from the Stone Valley body cam footage we just saw, she clearly states,
He doesn't know what he's dealing with. He hasn't been here in a year, and she's declined a lot in a year.
Right.
She used to be able to walk really well. She looked good. You didn't know anything was really wrong. But in the last year, she shuffles. She can't walk.
Based on this information, that would make Robin Renwick the responsible party for both of the medications lorazepam and risperidone being added to Susan Hillygus' regimen of daily medications. This is consistent with Roger's claim that Robin was over-medicating her mother with medications that had a black box warning. Nevada Silver Alert Notification/Activation, filed August 9th, 2019 at 4:02 a.m. Silver Alert Criteria. All of the following statutory criteria must be met before the Nevada DPS will activate a Silver Alert. The missing endangered person is 60 years of age or older. The whereabouts of the missing endangered older person are unknown. The missing endangered older person has either A. been diagnosed with a medical or mental health condition that places the person in danger of serious physical harm or death, or B. is missing under suspicious or unexplained circumstances that place the person in danger of serious physical harm or death, and there is sufficient descriptive information about the missing endangered older person or other pertinent information to warrant activation of the system. According to the Nevada Department of Public Safety Nevada Silver Alert Notification Activation Form, under the Diagnosed Medical Condition box, it states, dementia, medication required, does not have medication with her, unable to feed and care for herself without assistance. Under the brief circumstances regarding the missing endangered older person box, it states, Susan Hillygus was taken from care facility without legal guardian approval by son Roger Hillygus, driving 1994 white Honda Accord, Nevada plates 885YKR, possibly en route to Truckee, California. The Silver Alert form was filled out and approved by Sergeant Clark, badge number 9727, on August 9th, 2019 at 3:40 a.m. Based on the evidence we just went over in the Stone Valley body cam footage, as well as some self-evident statements from page 2 of the Silver Alert activation form, we can reasonably establish that only 2 of the 4 criteria were met. According to CAD report 19H295690, we can clearly see and establish that the silver alert was activated at 4:52 and 47 seconds a.m. on August 9th, 2019. Subsequently, on page 2 of this report, we can clearly see that the silver alert was canceled 48 hours later at 5:35 and 37 seconds a.m. on August 11th, 2019. Conversely, the silver alert PS CAD report 19H295791 reflects this, as we can see on page 2 of this report. It states that at 4:52 and 32 seconds a.m. on August 9th, 2019, NPHN update sent to NVDOTPD successfully. This would indicate that this is the time code when the last update was sent through the system before the silver alert was officially activated. Furthermore, we can see on page 8 of this report that at 5 o'clock and 10 seconds a.m. on August 11th, 2019, the silver alert was deactivated due to 48-hour expiration with no new information. This begs the question, why was the silver alert not extended by Reno PD? Is it reasonable that we can determine from this that one possible motive for not extending the silver alert would be the realization that in actuality only 2 of the 4 criteria were met for activating a silver alert ex post facto? Based on everything we have seen thus far in this case, I would say yes, it is reasonable. Detective Michael Barnes' interview with Tom Taylor and Tim Grafton at Stone Valley Memory Care. Bodycam audio recorded on August 9th, 2019.
He blew through here, talked to one of our caregivers, put down a fictitious name of another resident.
Yeah. But he came with a friend, and the friend signed in.
The friend signed in.
Oh, he did? Of another name of a resident, which he knew the name of. And so
can you show me the sign-in of?
Mm-hmm. But he just
and I think the police officer took a picture of it.
Oh, he did? Okay. Yeah, I'll take one also.
It was actually right here.
Yeah,
this one right here.
Second one right here.
Okay.
Which, that's the name of our resident.
And he didn't put his name at all?
No. And so I think he gathered it from this same one up here. But that's,
he just wrote it down there.
Just wrote it in there.
Okay, it almost looks like the same handwriting.
I know.
Note the date says August 8th, 2019. Note that written here it says Stu and Gus. Gus is a nickname Roger has been known by for years. Hillygus. Note Susie's name written in the box to the left of where it says Stu and Gus. Note the time written in the time in box. It says 2 o'clock p.m. Note the date says August 8th, 2019. Note in the visitor name box it says Tracy Griffith. Note that written here it says Alice in the resident box. Note the time written in the time in box. It says 2:15 p.m. Clearly, this is the sign-in entry for Tracy Griffith, the friend Tom and Tim mentioned. It should be noted that when Stu signed in for himself and Roger, aka Gus, he mistakenly put his and Roger's name in the resident box and the name of Susie in the visitor's box. This may have contributed to the confusion surrounding the initial statements by Tom Taylor, Tim Grafton, and other staff that Roger had not signed in. However, the fact remains. We can clearly show from the evidence that Stu and Roger, aka Gus, did in fact sign in to see Susie at 2 o'clock p.m. on the date of August 8th, 2019. Furthermore, we can clearly show from the evidence that Tracy Griffith accompanied them and signed in to see Alice at 2:15 p.m. on the date of August 8th, 2019.
Okay.
So when they went in the back, he goes, "We're here to see Alice." So they started taking him to Alice's room.
Yeah.
And then they shot off to Susan's room.
And then he came through here and went across.
Yeah, and they just blew through here. And then I was talking to a vendor right here, and I was watching over her shoulder, and it's like, well, why didn't they park in the parking lot? And they took her across the street, down below those buildings is where they parked.
Let's compare the vendor, Lisa Marie Campbell's interview by Detective Barnes from August 14th, 2019.
So I was talking to Tom like this, and I saw people moving, and I glanced over, and I noticed it was Sue. I put my hand on her shoulder, because by this time they're going towards the door, and I said, "Hi, Sue. Where are you going?"
Yeah.
You know, and she just kind of smiled, and I made eye contact and everything with her, and then I seen Roger grab her wrist and continue her out the door, walking, hand in hand. And I turned and looked at Tom and said, "That's Sue Hillygus. Where's she going?"
Yeah, yeah.
And that's when he said, "Well, she's going to lunch with her son."
Important points to note regarding the testimony of Tom Taylor and the testimony of Lisa Marie Campbell from what we just heard. 1. Why does Tom Taylor's statement that Roger was pulling or dragging Sue contradict Lisa Marie Campbell, the vendor's statement that she was walking with Roger hand in hand? 2. Why did Tom Taylor omit the part about telling Lisa Marie Campbell, the vendor, that Sue was going to lunch with her son?
And they were like literally.
Could you see their vehicle from here?
Could not.
So, in relation to this building right here, where it says 6159, it looks like.
Yeah, it was in the back of there.
Oh, so they parked in the back.
So they pulled her across the street, and literally pulled her because she can barely walk.
Yeah.
She's, I mean, mentally deficient.
Yeah.
Pulled her into the back, and then, but the marketer that, or the vendor that was here actually saw that it was either an older Jeep or like an Isuzu type of vehicle, but it was an SUV.
Older.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did they say it pulled back out on the Stone
She
Valley?
did not say, and she actually knows the daughter of Susan, who was taken, and so she called and said,
Called
I saw
Robin.
the vehicle, and
okay, all right, interesting.
So he passed the paperwork and it says, checked on the name or because the phone number on
Yeah,
the top
yeah,
of that.
yeah.
And it pulled up to that clothing store in Truckee.
Cabona's in Truckee. That's where the fax number came from.
Okay, all right.
So her house.
Do you have a copy of that paper?
Again, let's compare the vendor, Lisa Marie Campbell's interview by Detective Barnes from August 14th, 2019, with what we just heard Tom Taylor say.
So I went to get my car because I did want to know where she was going to. And I was parked, unfortunately, at the far end of the parking lot with an SUV here where I really lost sight for a minute.
Yeah.
So I did not see them get in the car, but I saw them when they had already gotten to the other side and into that shopping center.
Okay.
Then at that point, while I was getting in my car, I lost vision for a while, pulled out to where I could see, and the car door had shut on the dark SUV kind of vehicle.
Yeah.
And it pulled out and went left towards Rob Road.
Rob Drive. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So unfortunately, that's all I saw. I wish
Okay.
I could say I saw them put her in the car, but I lost sight of that part.
Here we can see the layout of the area around Stone Valley Memory Care and the shopping center across the street where Liberty Dialysis is located. Based on the available evidence and witness testimony of Lisa Marie Campbell, we can reasonably establish that the route shown in light blue with the arrows is the most likely route that the dark SUV Jeep-type vehicle took.
So she didn't appear facially in any grief.
Okay. Just kind of indifferent, going for a ride type thing.
But she was definitely walking a lot faster than she probably should have been, but she's very agile.
Let's take a look at what the definition of agile is from several different sources. Agile. Definition of agile, as in graceful. Moving easily. The expressive movements of agile dancers. Agile herons wading in marsh. And that's according to Merriam-Webster.com. Agile. Adjective.
Agile.
Agile.
Able to move quickly and easily. Synonym, nimble, a strong and agile athlete. And that's according to OxfordLearnersDictionaries.com. Agile, adjective.
Agile. Agile.
Agile, adjective, physically. Able to move your body quickly and easily. Monkeys are very agile climbers. You need to have agile fingers to do this kind of work. Agile.
Agile.
Adjective. Quick and well coordinated in movement. Live. An agile leap. 2. Active, lively, an agile person. And that's according to dictionary.com.
Well, and then there's a court date this morning for the sale of the house, which he's been
again, so we're just hoping he shows up there to try to show his paperwork.
Yeah.
To stop
That's
the
at
sale.
down at the courthouse.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
The family knows when they go through security to give the case number, all of this, just to keep an eye out for him. when he shows up.
Yeah, definitely. All right, appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the strangest thing, but they kind of knew what they were doing. But apparently, according to the sister, he hadn't been here in a year. He hadn't. But he goes through this weird legal, We Are America or something in Phoenix that says he has all the right paperwork, but it's not.
No, it's.
And
I don't know if you're familiar with sovereign citizens. So they're people that believe that they have rights outside of.
I've been seeing some of that on YouTube.
Normal society and stuff. Yeah. So, pretty sure that's what he's claiming.
One thing that is important to point out in relation to Detective Barnes' statement is what attorney David Spitzer says in the House sale hearing later that day on August 9th, 2019.
Your Honor, this has been a long, tortured road. I understand that. The amounts are high, but in light of the nature of the work required, I don't have an objection.
Yeah, I note that fiduciary services fees includes invoices for almost $2,000 of fees just to deal with Mr. Roger Hillygus, for example.
And I would suggest, Your Honor, that ultimately the guardian of the estate might attempt to recapture those.
I agree. Let me take an aside in this way. I'm deeply concerned about Miss Hillygus and her welfare. I dare say I couldn't overstate your concern. It's apparent that Mr. Hillygus has some active mental health issues going on. The filings I'm receiving now are so far removed from reality as to be almost unintelligible, but cause me concern as to his stability. What I mean by that is I intend, if the law would allow me, to retax that 1947 to Mr. Hillygus, but I don't want to push him or anyone else even farther into delusion or psychosis or whatever else may be going on, and so I just intend to be thoughtful about it. Is my only comment.
Your Honor, in my involvement in this case and long observation of Mr. Roger Hillygus, I'm not prepared to reach the same conclusion you are regarding his mental state. He is quite a calculating man. He has adopted the constitutionalist type of attitude that those who've practiced in criminal law have seen over the years in people that are perfectly capable in every other way. In regards to those, Your Honor, I think a cause of action to recoup them by the guardian at some later date might be the most appropriate way to do it. Again, anything we do here is going to be subject to some kind of appeal.
Of course.
Bellflower, California, August 16th, 2019.
Is in custody this morning after an hours-long standoff in Bellflower that ended at 2 a.m.
So he's accused of kidnapping his own mom from a care facility. CBS 2's Cara Finstrom joining us from the complex where it all happened. And Cara, you spoke exclusively with the woman whose apartment they were holed up in.
Yeah, she's the apartment manager here. She knows him personally. She knows his mother. But like everyone else, she is waiting to learn what's next for both of them.
It's upsetting for me being the manager here. It's 55 units and people want to know what happened. What did he do? What's he running from?
Wilma Dester oversees the Bellflower complex where the SWAT standoff took place. She also lives in apartment Q, where sheriff officials say 52-year-old Roger Hillygus, who's suspected of kidnapping his 80-year-old mother from a Reno care facility, was holed up.
At what point did you realize that he was actually, police were looking for him?
When they rammed on my door.
Dester says Hillygus' mother is her boyfriend's only sister, and he showed up about a week ago asking to stay with them.
He takes good care of his mother, though. He feeds her, he diapers her, bathes her. No, absolutely no mistreating that we could see while they were here.
Dester says she and her boyfriend were in the front room when officers rushed in and were escorted out. Hillygus was in the back with his mother, and she doesn't know exactly what happened next. SWAT officers quickly surrounded the complex. Their night vision images show the force that was in place for hours. Dester says she doesn't have a gun in her apartment and did not think Hillygus brought one. Reno police have been looking for him and his mother since last week. They say he and the former sheriff of Mineral County, Nevada, who's been arrested, went into her care facility, provided false information, checked her out, and called saying she would not be brought back.
I think that was the main thing. He wanted to get his mother and take care of her. But then there's a sister up in Reno that resents this. And what it's over, I don't know.
Ultimately, authorities say Hillygus fell asleep and they went in, taking him into custody safely. His mother, who needs to have daily medication, is now being checked out. Dester feels frustration. All this unfolded in her apartment. But more than anything else, she says she just feels sad.
She's very sweet, you know. So she really don't know, you know, what's happening.
And Hillygus was arrested this morning. The sheriff's department has confirmed on an outstanding warrant, which appears to be from Reno. Jasmine DeMarco, at this point, we don't know what possible charges he could face. And at this point, apparently they are still checking out the mom. She has not been taken back quite yet.
Jenkins' interrogation of Roger on the Idaho properties on the 6-hour drive back to Reno, Nevada from Los Angeles, California, August 20th, 2019.
So what was Robin's issue with you caring for your mom and dad? Like, what's it to her?
I don't know. I wish I knew. Like, my mother said that she was jealous, that she was retaliating against me, and that she was trying to cover up some of the things that she had done criminally against my parents.
What had she done criminally against your mom and dad?
She exploited and embezzled trust funds.
Is that documented anywhere?
It is.
So how did she do it? So she's not the trustee, or the successor rather, of the trust. How does she embezzle money? Like, how does she access it? How does she...
Yes. You have to... Somebody in a position of power and authority that influences somebody, that's called undue influence.
Okay.
And she took my parents to Idaho. She used
to live there?
She used trust money. And she used trust money to purchase properties. And then she got my father not to pay on the mortgages, and she rented the properties out and collected the rental income off the properties. This is all documented by my dad's tax person and the realtor up in Idaho and the bank records that I have and everything else.
So, what year is this? When she takes both your parents to Idaho? Are you already living with your mom and dad at this point? No, before that, obviously.
This was after my grandparents both passed away, my mom's parents.
Okay.
And my mom and her brother. My mother was the trustee of her parents, and she was young, 5 years younger.
Okay, so it does not always go to the firstborn. Okay.
No, parents choose the person that they know
that they
will
think...
do what they've asked them to do.
Okay.
And they, like I said, they could have put us both in there and didn't do that. The only explanation I have is they knew that I would do what they asked me to do.
Okay. So before you and Debbie move in to care for them, she takes them to Idaho?
Yeah, but it was back in...
Was she already a realtor?
Yeah.
Okay. So is it... Why? I mean, why do they agree to go? Are they looking for investment properties, or...?
That's where the undue influence comes in, because she solicited them. So if somebody in a position of power comes and solicits you to do something, you go along with it for their benefit. That's undue influence. That's a crime.
Okay, so do they, either one of them, have dementia yet?
Yeah.
Wow. So they go to Idaho, and how many properties do they purchase?
They purchased properties in Boise and in McCall.
And these are your parents making these purchases?
With the trust assets.
With the trust assets, okay.
But it was never put in the trust name. There was no contract. There was no written contract about what's the purpose or what are we trying to accomplish, what are we trying to achieve.
And what were your parents thinking this was for? What were they trying to achieve with these properties? Did they intend to rent them out, or did they intend to move to Boise or McCall?
No.
Had your parents ever had other properties before?
Not at an age where they should. If any other person would have done what Rob had done, they would have been charged, arrested.
Did you ever file police reports about the...
I have.
Which agencies did you file with?
The DOJ.
Okay. So, did you ask Robin, like, hey, what are you doing? Why are you... And how did you find out about the properties? Did your parents tell you, oh, hey, we've made these purchases and...
I found out because she tried to get me to go buy properties, and I said,
oh, she wanted you to buy them too?
Absolutely not. And I recommended that she don't go up and do that, and not to take her parents up there and do that, because they're not at an age where they should be managing property. They've never done this kind of thing.
Is this during the recession and the market crash? Is that what she's thinking, that now's a good time to snatch up all these properties and someday they'll be worth more?
No, it was at the peak of the market.
In theory, a terrible time to buy, right?
Yes. And I'm pretty savvy with investments.
Because you own a couple properties. Yeah.
What good investments?
Were your parents optimistic about these investments?
They were solicited, manipulated, unduly influenced. They were hoodwinked. This should have never happened.
How many did they buy?
One in McCall and somewhere between 3 and 5 in Boise.
That is a ton of property. So where do they get the money to make all these purchases? And are
my grandparents? I just
okay.
My
mom was the
trustee. They sold my grandparents' house down in Southern California at the peak of the market for $600,000, and they had oil stock investments.
Okay.
That they'd had for 50 years or more, and so they had a lot of Chevron oil stock.
Okay. So they got quite a bit of money from that then, and so where are those properties now? What's the status of them?
They're all gone.
Did your parents sell them?
She was collecting the rent, and she dumped when she realized that it was part of why she got her divorce, because her husband was not happy with getting stuck with the taxes because they were collecting all the rents on these properties.
So Robin actually puts renters in your mom and dad's properties, and she's collecting the rent money from those properties. Is she giving that rent money back to your mom and dad? But your mom and dad are paying the mortgages on these properties.
No, she told me to quit paying the mortgages. And so it ruined my father's credit. She short sold them, she foreclosed on them, she did whatever, and then she rented one out for years, and then when she knew that what she was doing was illegal, she dumped it on my father. He didn't know what to do. So after he just bought it some years earlier for $250,000, and now sold it for $125,000 after she collected the rent on it for all those years. And
so he loses a ton of money in this.
And he was one to always pay his bills. He didn't understand that he could have just walked away from that property, just like he walked away from the other ones years earlier. But this was later in the progression of his disease. And she needed to get out because of her divorce. And so she needed to get her name off the property, so she just dumped it in my father's lap. He couldn't pay the bills, he couldn't manage it. This was before I was able to get more hands-on. I mean, I realized a lot of this after the fact, after I started looking at records and finding mail and documents and trying to put the pieces together. So this is what's been discovered over time.
Wow. Have you ever talked to Robin about that and said what?
Yeah, she not really directly, but she claims that it was all on the up and up, and I'm like, that's illegal.
Wow. Did your dad have good credit before that?
Yeah.
And the short sale will absolutely mess your credit up. Which has got to be, I think that's got to be hard for somebody who takes pride in their credit, has always had good credit, is used to paying. Because, short sales that was a thing of this recession. And
you know how we paid it off?
How?
We refinanced the family home in Golden Valley.
Had that family home already been paid off? So he takes out a second mortgage
on the home that he was living in
to pay off
a place up in McCall that they went up like once a summer for a couple of 2 or 3 summers.
Wow. So how big was the second mortgage?
$150,000.
That's a decent size. Wow. So then you figure a lot of this out after the fact, then when you move in with your mom and dad and start caring for them. Were they pretty upset about how that whole thing had gone?
My father was so upset that he started gambling to try to make the money back.
Grant, bargain, sale deed, and order confirming sale of real property, 2685 Nob Hill Drive, Reno, Nevada, 89506. Dates filed, September 26, 2019 and August 22, 2019. DOC number 4955869. Dated September 26, 2019 at 3:52 p.m. Grant, bargain, sale deed. This indenture witnesseth that Deborah Bowers of Lund Enterprises, LLC, DBA, doing business as Fiduciary Services of Nevada, successor trustee of the Hillygus Family Trust, dated August 17, 1993, for a valuable consideration, receipt of which is hereby acknowledged, does hereby grant, bargain, sell, and convey to Richard E. Williams and Gail L. Williams, husband and wife, as joint tenants. All that real property situated in the county of Washoe, state of Nevada, described as follows. See Exhibit A, attached hereto and by reference made a part hereof. Together with all and singular tenements, hereditaments, and appurtenances thereunto belonging or in any wise appertaining. Signature and notary acknowledgement on page 2. The Hillygus Family Trust, dated August 17, 1993, signed Deborah S. Bowers, TTEE, by Lund Enterprises, LLC, DBA, doing business as Fiduciary Services of Nevada. Successor trustee by Deborah Bowers, authorized signer. State of Nevada, county of, and it has Washoe crossed out and scribbled in handwritten pen, Carson City. This instrument was acknowledged before me on September 24th, 2019, by Deborah Bowers. Notary Public, signed Donna Peacock. This notary acknowledgement is attached to that certain grant bargain sale deed under escrow number 019027771. In the matter of the Hillygus Family Trust, dated August 17, 1993, case number PR 14-00025, Department Number 7. Order confirming sale of real property. Filed electronically, case number PR 14-00025, on August 22, 2019, at 1:08:35 p.m. Jacqueline Bryant, Clerk of the Court, transaction number 7444867. This matter came before this court as a result of the petition for confirmation of sale of real property, petition for confirmation filed by Lund Enterprises, LLC, doing business as Fiduciary Services of Nevada, trustee by Deborah S. Bowers, trustee, trust officer and trustee of the Hillygus Family Trust, dated August 17, 1993. Trust. The petition for confirmation was properly noticed pursuant to NRS 164.030 and NRS 155.010. The court is satisfied with the notice and finds that the petition should be granted. Accordingly, good cause exists, and this court finds and orders: 1. The real property with a situs address of 2685 Nob Hill Drive, Reno, Nevada 89506, known as the Nob Hill Residence, is a trust asset. The trustee of trust is granted broad discretionary power. 2. Pursuant to the terms of the trust, notice of sale of the real property by publication in a newspaper is waived, as the trust property may be sold for cash or on credit at public or private sale. Lawful and proper notice was provided pursuant to NRS 164.030, with the service performed in the manner provided in NRS 155.010. 3. The appraised value of the trust real property, the Nob Hill Residence, is $400,000. 4. The residential offer and acceptance agreement lists the sale/purchase price as $415,000. The sale/purchase price exceeds the appraised value, and therefore it is in the best interests of the primary trust beneficiary, Susan L. Hillygus, to complete the sale. 5. The court hereby confirms the sale of the real property pursuant to the residential offer and acceptance agreement in the amount of $415,000. 6. Pursuant to the order after February 23, 2017 hearing, filed August 14, 2017, and the order of reconveyance and lien grant filed September 6, 2017, the following shall occur through escrow, and TCOR title is ordered to: A. Issue a check in the amount of $22,500 to Gunderson Law Firm and Debbie Hillygus. B. Issue a check in the amount of $22,500 to Deborah S. Bowers, trustee of the Hillygus Family Trust, dated August 17, 1993. The trustee shall follow the court's previous orders and established a blocked interest-bearing account. C. Upon the issuance of the checks totaling $45,000 as specified in items A and B above, those payments will reflect payment in full satisfaction and release of the lien recorded as document number 487-0175, recorded on November 30th, 2018. 7. The sale of the Nob Hill property with a legal description of Lot 47, as shown on the map of Medallion Estates No. 2, filed in the office of the County Recorder of Washoe County, State of Nevada, on February 6, 1969. APN 552-171-04, is hereby confirmed to Richard E. Williams and Gail L. Williams pursuant to the residential offer and acceptance agreement. 8. Brokerage fees shall be paid pursuant to the residential offer and acceptance agreement. 9. Finally, the court finds that as a matter of fact and as a matter of law, the buyers, Richard E. Williams and Gail L. Williams, are good faith purchasers of real property, and upon closing of the transaction are entitled to take title to the Nob Hill property in fee simple, with no encumbrances other than those contemplated in the residential offer and acceptance agreement. Accordingly, any objection to the sale shall be directed to the trustee holding the net proceeds in the trust and not the buyers. It is so ordered. This is a final order, dated August 22nd, 2019. Signed by District Judge, and I can't make out the signature. Washoe County Recorder. Legibility note. The Washoe County Recorder's Office has determined that the attached document may not be suitable for recording by the method used by the recorder to preserve the recorder's records. The customer was advised that copies reproduced from the recorded document would not be legible. However, the customer demanded that the document be recorded without delay, as the party's rights may be adversely affected because of a delay in recording. Therefore, pursuant to NRS 247.120.3, the county recorder accepted the document conditionally based on the undersigned's representation. 1. That a suitable copy will be submitted at a later date. 2. It is impossible or impractical to submit a more suitable copy. By my citing below, I acknowledge that I have been advised that once the document has been microfilmed, it may not produce a legible copy. Susan Lynn Hillygus, Certificate of Death. Date October 16th, 2019. Washoe County Health District. Vital Statistics, Reno, Nevada. Certificate of Death. Deceased name, Susan Lynn Hillygus. Location of death, the seasons. Date of death, October 16th, 2019. Time of death, listed as 2:12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Multiple different possible causes of death. A. Cardiac arrest. B. Atrial fibrillation. C. Sick sinus syndrome. And D. Atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease. No autopsy was performed. Case not referred to coroner. Department of Health and Human Services Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services Statement of Deficiencies and Plan of Correction. Date of report, October 16th, 2019. Department of Health and Human Services Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services Nasira Notes Report on the seasons. The facility Susan Hillygus was listed at during the time of her death on her death certificate. Initial comments. Inspector comments. This statement of deficiencies was generated as a result of state licensure annual survey and complaint investigation survey completed on October 16, 2019. In accordance with Nevada Administrative Code NAC Chapter 449, Residential Facility for Groups. The facility is licensed for 120 total residential facility for group beds, with 90 beds for elderly and disabled persons and or provides assisted living services, and 30 beds which provides care to persons with Alzheimer's disease. Category 2 residents. The census at the time of the survey was 112. 25 resident files were reviewed and 12 employee files were reviewed. The facility received a grade of A. There was one complaint investigated. Complaint number NV000588914 with the following allegations could not be substantiated. Allegation 1. The resident left the grounds and was unaccounted for an unknown amount of time. Allegation 2. The resident fell outside, injured themselves, and was found by staff. The investigation into the allegations included observation of facility staff residents, the resident of concern, a tour of the facility's memory care unit, and checked the door alarms. Interviews were conducted with a caregiver, the business office manager, the health and wellness manager, the administrator, and the resident of concern. Reviewed facility staffing schedules, employee files, and resident files. The findings and conclusions of any investigation by the Division of Public and Behavioral Health shall not be construed as prohibiting any criminal or civil investigations. Any actions or other claims for relief that may be available to any party under applicable federal, state, or local laws. The following deficiencies were identified. Medication, over-the-counter supplements. Supplements, change order. NAC 449.2742. Administration of medication. Responsibilities of administrator, caregiver, and employees of facility. 5. An over-the-counter medication or dietary supplement may be given to a resident only if the resident's physician has approved the administration of the medication or supplement in writing, or the facility is ordered to do so by another physician. The over-the-counter medication or dietary supplement must be administered in accordance with the written instructions of the physician. The administration of over-the-counter medications and dietary supplements must be included in the record required pursuant to paragraph B of subsection 1 of NAC 449.2744. 6. Except as otherwise provided in this subsection, a medication prescribed by a physician must be administered as prescribed by the physician. If a physician orders a change in the amount of times medication is to be administered to a resident, the caregiver responsible for assisting in the administration of medication shall 1. Comply with the order. 2. Indicate on the container of the medication that a change has occurred, and previously Y08793 3. Note the change in the record maintained pursuant to paragraph B of subsection 1 of NAC 449.2744. B. Within 5 days after the change is ordered, a copy of the order or prescription signed by the physician must be included in the record maintained pursuant to paragraph B of subsection 1 of NAC 449.2744. And C. If the label prepared by a pharmacist does not match the order or prescription written by a physician, the physician, registered nurse, or pharmacist must interpret that order or prescription, and within 5 days after the change is ordered, the interpretation must be included in the record maintained pursuant to paragraph B of subsection 1 of NAC 449.2744. Inspector comments. Based on record review and interview, the facility failed to ensure medication containers indicated a change in medication, and a physician was notified of missed medications for 2 of 25 sampled residents, residents number 17 and number 12. Findings include resident number 17 was admitted to the facility on July 12, 2019 with diagnosis including acute hypoxic respiratory failure and congestive heart failure. Resident number 17's October 2019 medication administration record, MAR, and physician's order dated October 3, 2019 documented tamsulosin 0.4 milligrams. Take 1 capsule by mouth daily. However, the medication on site documented tamsulosin 0.4 milligrams. Take 1 capsule by mouth twice daily. The medication on site lacked documented evidence of a change order label. On October 16, 2019 at 2:34 p.m., the medication technician verbalized the medication label on the tamsulosin did not document the correct dosage and the medication should have had a change order label. Resident number 17's October 2019 MAR and physician's order dated October 3, 2019 documented benzoate 100 milligrams, take 1 capsule by mouth 3 times daily as needed for cough. However, the medication on site documented benzoate 100 milligrams, take 1 capsule by mouth 3 times daily for 7 days. The medication on site lacked documented evidence of a change order label. On October 16, 2019 at 2:43 p.m., the MT verbalized the medication label on the benzoate and did not document the correct dosage and the medication should have had a change order label. Severity 2, Scope 1. Administration of medication maintenance NAC 449.2744 Administration of medication. Maintenance and contents of logs and records. NRS 449.03021. The administrator of a residential facility that provides assistance to residents in the administration of medications shall maintain B. A record of the medication administered to each resident. The record must include 1. The type of medication administered. 2. The date and time that the medication was administered. 3. The date and time that a resident refuses or otherwise misses an administration of medication. And 4. Instructions for administering the medication to the resident that reflect each current order or prescription of the resident's physician. Inspector comments. Based on interview and record review, the facility failed to ensure the medication administration record, MAR, was accurate for 3 of 25 sampled residents. Resident number 17, number 2, and number 6. Findings include resident number 17. Resident number 17 was admitted to the facility on July 12, 2019 with diagnosis of acute hypoxic respiratory failure and congestive heart failure. A physician's order dated October 3, 2019 documented morphine 20 milligrams per 1 milliliter, take 0.25 milliliters every 6 hours as needed for pain. The label for the medication on site documented morphine 100 milligrams 5 milliliters, give 0.25 milliliters every 6 hours as needed for pain. Resident number 17's October 2019 MAR documented morphine 20 milligrams 5 milliliters, give 0.25 milliliters every 6 hours as needed for pain. On October 16, 2019 at 2:43 p.m., the medication technician and assistant executive director verbalized the MAR did not match the physician's order or medication label for the morphine, and the medication's concentration was incorrectly transcribed on the MAR. Resident number 2 was admitted on June 2, 2019 with diagnosis including Parkinson's, hypothyroid, and depression. Resident number 2's physician ordered documented Bactrim DS 800 milligrams to 160 milligram tablets. Take 1 tablet by mouth daily following a treatment course. The start date on the physician order was September 17, 2019. However, the resident's MAR noted a start date of October 17, 2019. On October 16, 2019 at 3:08 p.m., the assistant executive director verbalized the MAR did not match the physician's order. Resident number 6 was admitted on June 2, 2019 with diagnosis including GERD, atrial fibrillation, hypertension, and chronic hypokalemia. Resident number 6, physician ordered documented tramadol HCI tablets 50 milligrams. Take 1 tablet by mouth 2 times a day for pain 800 and 1800. The resident's MAR noted administration times of 800 and 1600. On October 16, 2019 at 3:25 p.m., the assistant executive director verbalized the MAR did not match the physician's order. Severity 2, Scope 1. Vital signs, glucose, training, competency, approved regulation, LCB file number R109-18, 13, 1A. 1. A caregiver of a residential facility may perform a task described in NRS 449.0304 if the caregiver, A, before performing the task and when any device used for performing the task is changed, 1, has received training concerning the task that meets the requirements of subsections 5 and 6, and 2, has demonstrated an understanding of the manner in which the task must be performed. Inspector comments. Based on the documented review, file review, and interview, the facility failed to ensure staff checking vitals were provided training and demonstrated understanding. Findings include, on October 16, 2019 at 2:30 p.m., the administrator confirmed the health and wellness director took resident vitals, including blood pressure and temperature, when there was a resident incident. The vitals information obtained was forwarded to the ambulance personnel and the resident's physician. The facility lacked a protocol or policy to perform vital signs signed off by a qualified medical professional per NRS 632.017 and NAC 632.232. NRS 632.017. Practice of practical nursing. Defined. Practice of practical nursing means the performance of selected acts in the care of the ill, injured, or infirm under the direction of a registered professional nurse, an advanced practice registered nurse, a licensed physician, a physician assistant licensed pursuant to Chapter 630 or 633 of NRS, a licensed dentist, or a licensed podiatric physician, not requiring the substantial specialized skill, judgment, and knowledge required in professional nursing. Added to NRS by 1987, 1525, A, 1993, 2218, 1999, 1325, 2001, 1, 792, 2007, 1828, 2013, 2071, NAC 632.232. Focused Nursing Assessment, NRS 632.120, a licensed practical nurse shall contribute to the plan of care established for a patient by recording and reporting to the appropriate person his or her observations by conducting a focused nursing assessment. Added to NAC by BD of nursing effective 11/2/1987, A by R029-97, 1-26-98, R091-15, 4-4-2016. On October 16, 2019, at 3:40 p.m., the administrator confirmed the Health and Wellness Director did not have documented competency training by a qualified medical professional to take vitals. Severity 2, Scope 1. Mr. Hanty, you've been privy and witnessed many of the videos that have been put out about this case involving the Hillygus family estate and trust, the arrest of yourself and Mr. Roger Hillygus, and the entire criminal complaints that have been filed against you. You've been privy to a lot of information. Based on everything you've seen up until the current date, which is November 22nd, 2023, a very auspicious date, do you have any doubt in your mind whatsoever that the motivation behind this was greed, power, and the intent to silence those who would be able to expose the greed, power, and criminal aspect? That being Robin Renwick and those involved in that, including law enforcement, the district attorney's office, judicial magistrates, both from the Reno Justice Court and the 2nd Judicial District Court, including attorneys involved, both private attorneys such as Todd Torvinen, Ryan Earl, David Spitzer, and Stephen Moss. With all these people involved, do you have any doubt whatsoever in your mind that this is a criminal conspiracy to obtain financial gains from the sale and profit of the Hillygus family residence at 2685 Nob Hill Drive, and also the liquidation of assets and any other monetary assets and monies involved in the Hillygus family trust for profit and gain by those committing the criminal acts?
The answer to that, sir, is none whatsoever.
So, Mr. Hanty, you have no doubt in your mind that this was premeditated acts to take the life of Susan Hillygus?
None.
Do you believe in your heart that she was murdered with premeditation?
Absolutely.
Do you believe that this murder has been covered up by law enforcement, the district attorney's office, and judicial magistrates?
Absolutely.
And why do you believe so, Mr. Hanty?
For the reasons you just stated.
Based on the 30 years and the numerous investigations you've been involved with, including homicides, including murders, including financial crimes, including investigating criminal enterprises such as outlaw motorcycle gangs and others, based on everything you know in your 30 years of being a law enforcement officer here in the state of Nevada, and a career that's included the sheriff of Mineral County, 2 tribal chiefs of police, 2 deputy sheriffs, and most of your career being a state trooper of the Nevada Highway Patrol, do you base that what you just said on all that, plus your education, training, experience, and obtaining a degree from the University of Nevada, Reno, where you majored in criminal justice and had 5 years of college classes to support your forthright career coming up? Is that what you base everything on?
Yes. I base it on those attributes as well as common knowledge and my investigative skills.
No further questions, Mr. Ante.